originally I was wholeheartedly against scripts, and calling my sphere and, bugging them for business, selling them to, trying to sell them to sell their house or buy their house. And I kind of learned along the way, probably by year 3 or 4, that my sphere of influence, the people that I know, my family, friends, acquaintances, past clients, business partners, gave me probably 75% of my business at that time. And that was without asking. So it was a startling revelation when I saw those statistics at the end of the year. I kind of added everything up and I was like, holy cow, there's something to this sphere of influence thing. There's something to the people that know me, love me, and trust me. And I resisted it. And every coach and every agent told me otherwise. And I think it's a familiar story as I, teach and coach agents, that it's the same story. It's the fear of selling your family or bothering your friends. So I kind of drifted a little bit from the scripts. I follow what's called the Ford principles. And this is only for your sphere of influence. This is for people that if you called them, they would know who you are. The name of the game in real estate isn't necessarily to sell homes or to help people buy homes. It's to create relationships. If anyone's ever seen the bumper stickers or the t-shirts that says real estate is a contact sport, it is. And the best way to contact people is from a relationship level, at least in my opinion, because relationships are what builds trust. In fact, my mission statement for my business is to build foundations where foundations of trust, where your dreams come first. And the trust word starts with relationships. If you don't show that you care about people, they won't care to do business with you. If you're just there for the dollar, if you're just dialing the phone and calling up and say, hey, who do you know? Thanks, goodbye. You're leaving a lot on the table. That may work, and it works well with strangers. But when you're trying to build these relationships, it goes off. So what are the Ford principles? Has anybody heard of the Ford principles? And by the way, this is an interactive class, so take yourself off mute and just blurt it out.
Family, occupation, recreation, and desires, dreams.
Perfect. So these are 4 categories of questioning that we can layer when we call somebody. First of all, I will give you the best script, the easiest script that you will ever have. Get your pencil, sharpen your pencils here. So you dial the phone and George picks up. See, he smiled. He's going to pick up. Hey.
You want me to talk or what? What do you want me to do here?
George, hey,
yes.
It's been a while. How you doing?
Pretty good.
End of script.
So I hang up on you?
No, I mean, you can answer that question. This is what we're so nervous to call somebody up. Maybe we haven't spoken to in a while. Maybe it was a good friend from college and you guys were so tight and it's been 15 years. When you simply call and say, hey, it's been a while, how are you doing? You diffuse every notion of like, they probably hate me because I haven't called in so long. It's done. You put it on you, and you're just curious. So from there, let's build off of this because we are in real estate. And the end game for us is to fund a life, right? We want to help people, but at the end of the day, I'm not ashamed that, if I wasn't getting paid for this, I probably wouldn't do it. So let's get a little bit more what do we want to call this? Intentional.
Purposeful?
Intentional would be the word. Let's get intentional. So we called, we said, hey, George, how you doing? He says, fantastic. How's the family?
Great.
Great. Awesome. Well, what have your kids been up to these days?
Playing Little League, going to school, just enjoying life.
Awesome. What age group are they in for Little League?
11 and 13.
That's when they start playing real baseball.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's really cool. So how's the house?
Good. Been here long time, 20 years. Everything's well.
Nice. So we're going to pause there. When I said, how's the house? What am I doing?
Open-ended question.
I'm opening a question, number one. And I'm breaching real estate. So that question is intentional. And oh, by the way, when I asked George about his kids, 11 and 13, playing Little League, there's a section in Command, or hopefully you're, if you use a different CRM, there's a section in there in your contact card to record your calls. And it's not to actually record it, it's to write down notes from your calls. Write down these notes, because what's going to happen in 3 months when I call George back? I'm going to ask him how the season played out for his kids in baseball. There's no way on earth I'd remember that. But if you write these little notes, these little nuggets about people, you're showing them that you care. It's helping you remember, when you're doing 10 calls a day, it's just helping you remember. So the next time you call, you can do that. So let's move on to occupation. George, do you mind if I still pick on you?
That's fine.
So, hey, how's work going?
Pretty good.
Pretty good. You still, what do you were in real estate last time we talked, right?
Yep.
Where are you at now?
Working in a family business, got out of real estate, too many problems, too many issues. You don't make enough money, inconsistent income. I can go on and on and on. So
I'm sure the stress level is very low.
yes.
So normally, in a lot of instances, people will reciprocate some of these questions in general conversation. I know I'm putting George on the spot here. But, if they don't, you can sort of use their commiseration or use their, their successes to just kind of blurt it out and just say, George was kind of commiserating that, real estate had been tough, and I could easily just go on and jump right into it and say, hey, that's unfortunate, with your real estate career. I've had a different side of it. I've been doing great. Who do you know? I could always do better. If you go to the bottom of your sheet here, this is where we get purposeful. I have two small scripts here. Business has been great this past year, but it can always be better. Do you know anyone in your family, at work, that, I could help out in real estate? I'm not looking at the script right now.
No, I mean, I don't really know anybody. There's a neighbor up the street they're thinking of selling. So,
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I could
Would you do me a favor? I'd love to take care of them and just make sure they're getting the best assistance possible. Would you see if they'd mind if I call them?
Sure. I'll talk to them and then I'll send you their name and phone numbers.
Awesome. Cool. I'll touch. How about this? I'll touch base with you in a week on that. Is that
Okay.
cool?
Sure.
Awesome. So this is all conversational. We're not directly reading from a script, which makes it much more you're much more approachable. Has anybody ever had an old friend from high school or college hit you with the script? Maybe they got into insurance or something, and you can tell they're on the other end of the phone reading from a piece of paper. Hi, Mike, it's AJ from high school. This is a business call. and you shut down. I mean, you do it with telemarketers, you do it with anything. Did you ever get hooked by a telemarketer that just called you up and said, "Hey, how's it going? I'm John from so-and-so. I just wanted to check up on you to see if you needed, if and you end up getting in these conversations unintentionally. And that's because it's more conversational than it is script. Does that make sense? So we can get into recreation. George, any plans for this summer?
Yeah, going on a cruise
Nice. Where are you going?
down in the Caribbean.
Flying out of, are you going out of Baltimore, or are you flying down to Miami?
Fort Lauderdale's usually the
Lauderdale.
best port. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
So taking the kids, so it'll be fun.
How many islands?
4.
4. It's beautiful. That's awesome. I took a 9-day cruise years ago, and it was amazing. It was sad to come home. So, so what are we doing here with recreation?
Not too much. Work a lot. Relax, read, watch TV, family, and things like that. So they keep us kind of busy.
Nice. That was actually a question for the class. So,
so you want me to click
the
on?
funny thing is this is so conversational that you don't know what's what. But what are we doing with recreation on this? What are we trying to figure out? We're just trying to get a little bit closer to our clients. And people love to talk about their vacations. And if he's got one coming up, again, that provides me with more fodder later on for a follow-up call, because how many times are we supposed to call our sphere? I'll leave this one for the class. Anyone want to jump in? Dan Bixler, you're in the other room, so I'm going to pick on you.
Order.
12,
How many times are we supposed to call our sphere minimum?
12 in a year.
If you're doing 12 in a year, you're amazing.
4 in a year.
4, thank you. Who is
Every 3 months, all right?
every
Yeah.
3 months?
Once a
And
quarter.
we call that a quarterly call plan. And I'll take my tech trainer, I'll put my tech trainer hat on. There's a smart plan for this, guys, to remind us to call. It's easy to use. Anyway, yeah, four times a year. So 4 months from now, it will be, or 3 months from now, it will be what, July or August. George should be home from the cruise. So next time I call George, I'm going to ask him about 2 things now. How did his kid's Little League season play out? How did his cruise go? And oh, by the way, I'm still trying to reach my goals in real estate. Who do you know that's, in your neighborhood or at work, maybe at church, that's thinking about, buying or selling real estate? Love to help them out. And then dreams, desires, usually you won't get this far. Usually you've had a 10-minute conversation, people have to get back to work, but if things are still going and you want to press it, dreams and desires, any plans for the future? And I specifically asked this because I want to get a feeling of what's going on. Are there any life changes coming up? Are they moving down south? Are they thinking about retiring? Are their kids getting married and buying? There's clues, there's nuggets we want to uncover in these questions, in these scripts. We want to find out some of the the data and kind of uncover it, because if they have their oldest daughter is graduating from med school next year, what's in store for their daughter? Can you help them out in real estate? So these are things that we can do, and then mark it down. Make sure you transcribe these calls, not every word, but bullet point what you are asking. And if all else fails, if you have failed to breach real estate in any of these 4 categories, there's always the ask for help. and this is my fail safe. You would be surprised how many people that you call up and ask for help are more than willing to give it to you. And the script isn't even that much difference. Hey, can I ask for your help? I'm looking to expand my business and help more families than I did last year. Let me know anyone you come across in your family, anyone at work, anyone in your neighborhood that has a real estate need, even if it's just a question. I'd love to help them out. Would you do that for me? So if all else fails, we could literally tie it down and kind of go for the kill. Does that make sense? How easy do you guys find this versus some other scripts? And oh, by the way, this isn't to eliminate scripts. This is a plan of attack on how to talk to your sphere. When you're cold calling, when you're door knocking, you absolutely need to have scripts and objection handlers. So this is not to replace anything that you've learned for scripts. This is a little bit of a softer approach for your sphere. Make sense?
Mike, yeah, I agree with you 100% of hitting your sphere. I mean, everybody knows 100 people. You know, if you were having a wedding for your kids or whatever, you have 100 people you would invite. Those 100 people know 100 people. You take 100 times 100, it's 10,000. If you got a 1% return of buyers and sellers, that's 10 units right there, just from that sphere. If you got 2%, that's 20 units. And the 100 people really don't mind hearing from you. And you hit it on nail on the head. If you're going to call them quarterly, talk about the weather, talk about their job, talk about their vacation, talk about their family. There's 4 things you can talk about. Take 3, 4, or 5 minutes, and you establish.
It's a relationship business. Absolutely. Yes. I mean, even in my listing appointments, I go into my listing appointments not to win not to sign a contract, not to win the client. My listing appointments are solely to gain. They're designed solely to gain someone's trust. And if you can do that with your sphere, they already trust you. Make them even more comfortable. Make them feel, and I don't, that's not even, I don't even say make them feel. I want you guys to have true relationships with the people that you know. If you can have a true relationship and not just talk to them once a year, at the company Christmas party or Easter, Passover dinner, whatever it might be, have relationships. Go out to dinner with someone that you haven't talked to in a while. Go buy a cup of coffee, take them out for lunch. One of my big things I did when I got into real estate is I had a monthly budget for coffee. I'd post it on my Facebook. Who wants, it was like Cafe Wednesdays or something. And I'd meet them at a coffee shop near their work or take them out to lunch. I think it cost me about, on average, $18 a week. It was nothing to create those relationships. So, and again, if you're meeting in person and you're worried about what to say, it's all here. So any questions, any ahas? I'd like to hear from anyone but George.
Mike, I do want to say, and then hopefully we hear a lot from the audience. I love that you knew where your business came from and that you didn't learn about this the hard way, because far too often as a coach, I'm talking to agents who are reluctant to have this conversation with their sphere, and months go by and years go by and they still do not want to do business, or they don't want to have these kind of relationships with people who know and like them. Mm-hmm. And then it starts to bite them in the butt. They find out that their uncle listed his house, or the sister bought a house from somebody else. So you didn't learn too late, you knew it and you capitalized on it. Good for you. Yeah.
And I even still had failures along the way. I found one of the first people I ever sold a house to. It was a young couple. I was getting ready to send them a home anniversary card, and I just happened to go in and look them up in public records. They had literally moved that month. And that was my fault. That was my fault for not contacting them. And I had it in my head that, hey, we haven't talked for a while. This is weird. Like, it's going to be weird for me to just call them.
Mhm.
It's not weird. Call them up, ask them how they're doing. Be a friend. So,
All right, any other questions, comments? Come on, guys, feel free to speak up.
Question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sandra, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know if this is another Zoom call, but I just passed my test, my licensing test last week. So
Awesome.
yeah, I'm really excited. So, but I'm not really sure. I mean, I know what the sphere is, but where do I start with that? Like, how do I start getting that together? I mean, I understand it's contacts and family and friends, but do you just
So-
start making a list, or is there something
exactly.
organized that?
Exactly. It's in real estate, we call it a database. Are you joining Keller Williams?
Yes.
Awesome. So we provide a database system called Command, and you'll load your contacts up in there. And I'm not going to go over the whole system, but we can actually set up automated reminders. We can wake up every morning, we can look at our phone, and it will tell us the 3, 5, 10 people, whoever we need to call that day.
Oh, great.
So
Okay.
it's it takes a little while to set it up and get everybody in there, but once everything's done and organized, we can set it up. So for instance, if you have 90 people in your sphere, and there's 90 days in a quarter, it will direct you to call one person a day for 90 days. And if an agent can't call one person a day, maybe we should look into something else. But I will tell you that, so the national average for realtors on how many prospecting calls the average realtor makes per day of all, not just the successful people, but for everybody. How many calls per day, prospecting calls per day, do you think an agent makes?
Are you asking me?
Anyone?
10.
I think it
Maria,
should be
did
10,
you
but it's
take-
probably less. It's probably a
Maria,
lot
did you
less.
take 10?
Less than one.
It is less than one. Less than one. So if you make one phone call, one prospecting call a day, you are above average. I want you guys to think about that. If you make one call a day, you're above average. So make 5, make 10. It'll work. So
Can I ask a question?
absolutely.
So I am finding, so I started in March 2000, good Lord, 21. So a little over a year now. And I'm finding, and maybe it's just because I don't want to do it, but less the calls, but a lot of texts and emails, and I get a lot of response that way. And that's been good. And I've been very busy. And I know I'm probably leaving money on the table by not making a ton of phone calls, but I as a person too, like, it's so much easier for me when someone texts me as opposed to getting on the phone. Do you feel like that's, I don't know, am I shooting myself in the foot on that? Or, I mean,
So no, not really. So person-to-person contact, there's different levels of it. Number one, the top level is if you meet in person. That interaction is going to be more impactful on somebody than any other type of interaction, right? Sitting down, breaking bread, having coffee, whatever that might be. Number two is going to be voice to voice. So calling people, talking to them, and I understand everybody has a busy life. A lot of people have jobs during the day where they can't answer the phone, and sometimes that is difficult, but that would be number two on that level. And third would be text. You can still have a conversation. You're not going to have an in-depth conversation. And I don't know if the 4 principles would work very well over text when you're just constantly peppering them with questions versus it being more conversational. But don't hesitate to utilize text. They've incorporated it in Bold. They've incorporated it into the Ignite teachings. So, don't shy away from that, but just know what you're doing and what level of communication you need on all 3 of those tiers. And then lastly would be email. When you send an email, Email marketing, some people say is dead. Some people say it's on its way out. But that's just kind of like you standing on the street and handing out flyers to people. And people take them from you, but the trash can at the corner is full. So again, if you're doing emails, don't do a whole lot of them because you don't want people to unsubscribe from what you do, but just be careful and understand each level of communication there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Do we have a few other things? Oh, in the chat, Kelly Delicat said, I would start with your Christmas card list. And these were for people to contact. I think this was for Sandra.
Yeah, great idea.
That's an excellent thing to do. The great thing about your Christmas card list or your holiday card list is that you have their names and addresses.
Mhm.
So you have most of their information. So anyone else?
Great.
Mike, I just want to say, I had an aha, I guess, a couple of years ago. I guess you were teaching a class, or maybe you were just in a class and you were answering a question. But when I first started calling my sphere, I thought that everyone would love me and want to deal with me. And then when people would like big no or whatever, I got a no or a negative comment, I was like kind of crushed and thought, oh my gosh, I can't call these people anymore. And then you had mentioned about having a relative that no matter what you say, he would never, ever refer you a business. And then you're like, that's okay. You're going to have people that won't refer you business for whatever reason. Then that's just not your top 10 or top whoever that you're going to call. You don't have to call them anymore. So that was an eye-opening.
Out of every 10 people that you know, on average, there are 2 people that will refer you no matter what. Don't need to ask them. As long as they know what you do, they will refer you.
So that was an aha. And it's not just them, it's the people that they know. That was another aha. So
yeah,
it took me 2 years to understand that.
Yeah, and it's not our friends and family that are likely to buy or sell. It's going to be somebody in their sphere. So, don't just look at your own sphere, your own 100 people. If you have 100 people that each know 100 people, I'm not a mathlete, but I think that's 10,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
So how powerful would it be from your network of 100 to get to be able to reach 10,000 people? So think about it that way. Look for multipliers in your life too. I have one brother, and this was the story from Joanne. I have one brother that he sends me, he'll meet someone in the grocery store, overhear a conversation about real estate, and he will give me their number. He'll get their information. My other brother could care less. Who do I spend time with? I love them both, but it's just a microcosm of, you will have clients that no matter what you do, they're not going to send you anything, no matter how much they love you. You'll have a few that you don't even have to tell them. They're going to call you up and say, hey, I got a lead for you. The 6 people in the middle out of those 10, they're the ones that you have to work on. They're the ones that the quarterly calls are super, super important for. And oh, by the way, the 2 people that refer you no matter what, take them out to dinner. Do some pop buys, buy them something nice cheese board or something. So what do you say, Val? Should we let them loose on the world?
Absolutely. Let's let them loose, because now everybody, no matter what stage you're at, as long as you're licensed, and I know, Sandra, we're still waiting for your license, you can make these calls. So if you say, like, I don't know what the heck I'm supposed to do for the next 90 minutes, start calling. Use exactly what Mike told you. That was super valuable.